Mr. Speaker, I yield myself such time as I may consume.
The gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. This week, we have thousands of members of the law enforcement community here in Washington to celebrate Police Week. And every day, police officers throughout our country wear the uniform with pride, and they understand the tremendous responsibility that comes with it, putting the safety of others before the safety of themselves. They protect us, they protect our families, and they protect our neighborhoods. And we owe it to these police officers to give them every reasonable tool possible to solve crimes and keep our communities safe. Unfortunately, police officers are currently being denied a critical resource when it comes to solving child abduction and missing children cases. And while many may picture the perpetrators of these crimes as strangers, the reality is actually very difficult to fathom. And that's because every year there are more than 200,000 cases of children that are abducted by a parent or a relative. The psychological and emotional damage inflicted on a child in these cases can be devastating. Abducted children often are moved from city to city and prohibited from going to school or participating in youth activities due to a fear by the perpetrator of being caught. And many of these children are told that the parent that they are separated from is dead or no longer wants them. Statistics show that an abducted child is at a higher risk for physical abuse, and some psychologists believe that family abduction is one of the most devastating forms of child abuse. But here's the opportunity, Mr. Speaker. Research shows that in a significant number of child abductions, the perpetrator will file a tax return using this child's Social Security number, providing a current address and a potential case-breaking discovery. One report found that as many as 46% of these cases could be solved if law enforcement had access to this information. And while this type of critical tax information can be accessed to solve other serious crimes, current law does not allow police officers to access federal tax records to help them find an abducted child. Without such a valuable tool, it can be very difficult for law enforcement to solve these cases when the suspect has left the area and have taken action to conceal their new location. The bipartisan Recovering Missing Children Act will allow investigators to access this critical information and reunite families. This is a common-sense fix that fills the information gap, potentially solving thousands of cases and saving lives. It's endorsed by the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, the Fraternal Order of Police, the Sergeants Benevolent Association, the National Association of Police Officers, the Major County Sheriff's Association, and the Major Cities Chiefs Association. Mr. Speaker, I have several letters of support I'd like to also insert for the record.
Without objection.
I want to thank my colleague Joe Courtney for his leadership and bipartisan advocacy on this issue. I also want to thank my friend Mr. Pascrell on the Ways and Means Committee for his leadership, along with Congressman Reichert on the Law Enforcement Committee in getting behind this legislation, showing again that both parties can work together on meaningful legislation that improves the lives of American families. And as we prepare for the National Missing Children's Day coming up on May 25th, I encourage my colleagues to support this bill today so we can give investigators the tools that they need to crack the case and bring a missing child home. And I reserve the balance of my time.
Minnesota reserves.